across the globe. And today you're listening to Taking Care of Women's Health, a step towards precision medicine podcast, wherein we will be discussing on the various opportunities and challenges of precision medicine in the healthcare. We look forward to discussing this with Elizabeth Mustafi, who is a global leader in life science industry with key focus on strategic marketing and digital medical affairs. Elizabeth has worked with various key players in the pharma space such as Novartis, BMS, BI, and Eli Lilly. Thanks for joining us, Elizabeth. To start with, can you introduce yourself, Elizabeth, to our audience? A bit of introduction on yourself.
Yes, before we start, maybe we should introduce a very quick and very small disclaimer for the audience. In particular, you are going to be muted automatically. Nevertheless, we would like you to engage with us over the chat function. So please have your thoughts ready, have your comments ready. There will be time for Q&A. And my usual approach is we are very happy to see all the questions, all the comments. Not sure if we can answer everything. And as you know, it's a very big topic. So we are very happy to engage and move step by step on this quest, on this journey.
Yes.
So
Yes,
maybe a
Elizabeth,
little bit
we
of
could
a
start.
background, to myself, so that you know actually who is entertaining you in this 45 minutes. So my name is Elizabeth, and I'm very grateful to Pharmacrawl and particularly to Sneha for the kind introduction and also for taking the time and providing also the platform, meaning providing space for the topic of women health. Ever since working in the field of women health, and this is quite a while back, ever since at the time with Wyeth, which was a big company, a legacy leader in the space of women health, I hold passion to foster equity and equality in healthcare. During my times at Novartis, I have been entrusted with leading global work streams to drive science and enhance the understanding on managing female patients, particularly in the areas of chronic diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular, and also respiratory. Eventually driving scientific campaigns which resulted in a deeper understanding and a readiness to change medical practice and treatment guidelines.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for this for such a wonderful introduction of yourself. So we can start off with talking about the various pain points or some unmet needs we see in the women's health sector.
So shall we start today's session with the usual way, you know, how scientific people would start, and that's another disclaimer. So and in this instance, it's very important. The topic is personal. I really put, my passion and, my knowledge in this area, and the selection of the examples is biased. It's biased because it's based on a personal preference and my preference of hope and happiness for success. I'm deeply interested in driving women's health from many angles, and I really love to enlarge the army of change here. So again, the examples given as shared are nevertheless fact-based and can be accessed in public domain. And we are more than happy to provide the links for some of the projects or even startups that we will be sharing with you later on. We are on a mission to bring personalized treatment options to more patients. I want to have a healthcare solution that is tailored to my needs. And I say it as a woman, and maybe precision medicine and also artificial intelligence can help here. All sex and genders are different when it comes to disease risk, frequency, severity, symptomology. The diagnostic journey is very different, and even the response to treatment. Being a man or a woman has significant impact on health, and as a result of both biological and gender-related differences. So what exactly do we mean by women's health? when you ask many people, actually, you get as many answers and thoughts as there are out there in the World Wide Web. Many definitions are out there, using currently one from Wikipedia, my preferred way to have a look first. So woman health refers to the branch of medicine that focuses on the treatment and diagnosis of diseases and conditions that affects a woman's physical and emotional well-being. This embraces much more than the focus on reproductive health, which is very important, but we need to enlarge the lens for female health in this aspect. There are several facts that I wanted to share, which I came across preparing and which I really would like to open up for discussion. Healthcare wasn't designed with women in mind. Despite significant advances in medicine, women across low middle income countries continue to face challenges that limit their access to healthcare, including cultural barriers, social stigma, and lack of education. And women healthcare research lacks funding. And we all know that there is quite a lot actually also happening in the current R&D space, because many clinical trials are underrepresented for females. The second fact, which is an enormous question: what is the business case for female patients? How can we stir up the appetite to invest? Bridging the growth gap in women's health is a really big, a very formidable challenge, presenting a significant barrier to the delivery of comprehensive and effective care. There is a new sector that is coming, which is very, very loud and marching with big steps into the field of women healthcare, which is femtech. And this sector is estimated to be worth $1 trillion US dollars by 2027, so not very long to go. But the taboo nature of women health and gender imbalances in investment are providing obstacles to the industry. Now, looking also into WHO, I came across a very interesting statement that the Commission was actually publishing in March this year, solidifying its commitment to improving women's health outcome through technology and innovation. So it's a perfect time actually to ride this wave. A possible solution to elevating the needs of female patients is through the lens of precision medicine. Now, let's have a look what we mean by precision medicine. It can also be referred to as personalized medicine. It's a novel approach to disease treatment and prevention that takes into account individual variabilities, also various genders, genetics, environment, and lifestyle for each patient. This approach enables healthcare providers to provide a more accurate diagnosis and create customized treatment plans. And the essence of precision medicine is selecting the optimum treatment, and I would say the optimum management for each patient.
Right. I would also adding to this point, one thing that I have been observing in women's health is the fact of ignorance and hesitancy. Many times, women themselves ignore their health aspects. This comes because of the hesitancies the women face in their day-to-day activities. Mm-hmm. If we talk about an example, like the menstrual issues the women have, for example, PCOS, which is also known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is the irregularity of menses. Many times, women do not know how to go ahead and how they should talk to doctors, and to which doctor they should reach out for their queries. This in turn leads to the worsening the conditions for females. This is one of the major pain points I see in the women's health during their diagnosis and treatment journey. So if we talk about innovation and information, let's have a look on how women's healthcare is represented these days in the recent conferences.
Thank you very much, Sneha. And yes, I would agree, this topic of taboos the topic of stigma, even the topic of bias will come up again. It's present. We see it in many interaction between females and healthcare professionals of all sorts, not only physicians, all the way through the chain of healthcare. And when we take a look at the conferences, so we have taken examples today of what was happening most recently, from small conferences to very big conferences. And I will start here with a conference that I have attended recently. It's a rather small conference. It's called the Women Health Innovation Summit for Europe. I think it was happening for the second time. For me, it was the first time I was there. A lot of energetic, young, entrepreneurial women. This conference was happening in Switzerland in April this year. And it's a conference dedicated to women health, and it's bringing together great minds from established companies, but also from startups and investor communities. And here you can feel it's a spirit about building communities, about ecosystems and solutions that we can come up together, because it is important, as many situations around women healthcare are anchored around shame, as we have just discussed, ignorance, lack of access, and lack of knowledge. So it's much more than we need to look at in a societal way. Passion and empathy for patients are the key drivers for improving current situations, instilling and renewing confidence so that eventually patients can actively participate in life.
Right. Like, are there any success stories you would like to talk about in precision medicine for women's health, Elizabeth?
Yes, I have chosen two examples that go a little bit beyond reproductive health. So the first example is woven around pelvic health, which is a very, very critical aspect of women's overall well-being, encompassing numerous vital structures. Yes, it is very little talked about or even discussed. To be very honest, I haven't seen this, being discussed in any of the media recently. So what is it? Pelvic floor disorders such as urinary incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse are prevalent among women, particularly after childbirth or during menopause. So what you see here is a big age span, and many women actually are affected. 2/3 of women with pelvic issues do not seek clinicians' help because they see it as a normal part of aging, and or because they do not want to have a surgery, which is all they think is available to them. We cannot ignore the emotional cost of lost opportunity due to pelvic health issues. Women experiencing this kind of health problem may face limitations in their daily activities, social interaction, and professional lives. Incontinence, for example, can lead to embarrassment, isolation, and a reduced quality of life. So there was actually one very cool tool on this particular pelvic health issue that I came across, which is addressing health challenges in this wear. It's called Elitone. It's a wearable pelvic floor muscle stimulator that offers a very convenient and effective at-home treatment option. So going beyond, the current thinking, everything needs to end up in a surgery, there is much more you can do. And you can even do it in a private setting that is not necessarily associated with shame. Another example, and here I want to tie back to artificial intelligence, which is also being discussed everywhere, and also, of course, data. There is a company which is called Wild.ai, who has done extensive research on what a woman is, studying what the female body needs and when. Again, across all stages of life, all stages of hormonal fluctuations. And this company translates the research into an app, helping women track, train, eat, and recover with their physiology. Whenever they menstruate, use birth control, or are in a perimenopause or menopause or postmenopause state. What I like here is that the data collected seem to serve men and women. And Wild.ai interprets the data through a female lens. And this is something which I really would encourage us to do. Just take the extra mile and look at many of the issues, many of the challenges through female lens. As an example, if the body temperature goes up, as a man, it could mean you're sick. For a woman, it could mean that you're ovulating, you're pregnant, or you have perimenopausal symptoms. Totally different explanation. This is a very efficient way to introduce gender-specific, precision health-based data and medication.
This seems to be very interesting, Elizabeth. Like the example which you have set over here are quite interesting. I would also like to move on to another big conference, a renowned scientific oncology conference known as ASCO 2023, wherein this year's theme was partnering with patients. Like, along with several cancers, the ASCO has given a platform to discuss various unmet needs and opportunities in the space of breast cancer and other gynecologic malignancies, indicating gaps in cancer patient care. PharmaScroll, we have been providing services in similar domain by covering these types of conferences extensively and to understand broader themes of discussions happening during, during, and post conference. Along with this, the competitive analysis is also studied to have a look at the present and upcoming milestones from the pharma companies. So also, data releases and innovative solutions for patients to come, new indications as well, can help benchmark and gather data. Like this conference being such conferences place a big platform and opportunity to provide insights and showcase innovations happening in the women's health sector, allowing precision medicine to improve quality of life. Partly the example which you said can be a part of such conferences wherein, various pharma companies come up with their innovative ideas and suggestions. One example I would like to add over here is Roche, which is one of the big pharma companies. They presented digital innovations for timely personalized cancer care at ASCO 2023. The company showcased like how they harness the power of data, technology, and connected insights to unlock the new possibilities for better cancer care. The major focus of Roche was on their Navify oncology portfolio, which was particularly designed to redefine the way cancer care is delivered across the patient's entire care journey. It can be for early detection, accurate diagnosis, to personalized treatment planning, and also the follow up care. Similarly, there was another company called Tempus, which also had a special industry expert session on AI-enabled precision medicine, which leverages insights derived from data to advance cancer care. The session particularly explored intersection of real-world data, machine learning, and genomic sequencing, and dive into Tempus suite of technologies and NGS platform, which all together work together to rapidly deliver insights that are transforming precision oncology and revolutionizing patient care. So a way to good start is looking at precise data, precise insights, and analytics that inform patient journeys.
Mm-hmm. I think improving healthcare outcomes and making progress in life science requires robust data. I'm totally with you. I'm all about data, and the more data, the better. However, we really need to understand the data and drive the right insights. So the lack of comprehensive data on the other side is a major obstacle to medical treatment and research, particularly in women's health. And coming back, bridging to what we said before, take the extra step and look through the lens of a woman. The data are there. We just need to understand them and dissect them in the right way. As a direct result of that lack of, let's say, looking at the data or even generating data, women are currently more likely to experience adverse drug reaction, receive ineffective treatments, be misdiagnosed, or have a reduced lifespan due to late diagnosis. These gender differences are significant. For example, 20% of women have reported that healthcare providers have ignored or dismissed their symptoms versus 14% of men. So how can we get more robust and relevant data, Sneha, that help us to understand patients and their respective needs and differences? Can you share your expertise here?
Yes, like the basis of precise patient journeys and going beyond the traditional approach, deep diving into the emotional, female, and digital patient journey. Like basically, there are three types of patient journeys a woman can go through during the process of getting diagnosed and treated for a particular disease. Like the female patient journey, as compared to males, is different in various aspects, involving a more of emotional burden on the female patients. For example, the expecting and lactating female patients do face a barrier to get proper disease treatment. This can be due to the side effects imposing fear of losing child in women patient. Also, lack of counseling, access to information, trauma, ignorance of symptoms leads to delay in diagnosis in female patients. Similarly, an emotional patient journey is usually untouched in many ways, but is relevant to look on as they reflect the emotional burden a female patient can have, which is in general along with differences versus male patients. Just looking at examples, how symptom burden can be expressed or the quality of life is defined, female patients can open new insights and leverage points for healthcare providers and industry partners. Similarly, which shows how patients are engaged on social media platforms to understand, gather information on various diseases. We know from social media behavioral studies that men and women have different exposure to and preferences towards the various channels. Also, I would like the language used, the relevant framing of stories and experiences is different. So it's very important to understand the sentiments, but also the way females look for information on their health and share information within buddy networks, which have a direct impact on getting access to diagnosis and the treatment and impact outcomes. In times where telehealth and telemedicine is used more often nowadays, it is vital to understand these preferences, which also plays a vital role in the engagement between the patients and the physicians.
Thank you, Sneha, for providing the thoughts on patient journey, very deeply anchored towards any work that we do in understanding patients. And the new angles, emotional patient journey and digital patient journey, I haven't seen coming across so often. So I think it would be very relevant to really consider those aspects when really looking towards unmet needs, towards leverage points, and eventually also for tactical planning. I wanted to share a few other initiatives that I recently have come across from other disease areas, big disease areas here that are already embracing woman precision medicine and offer a tailored management and guidance and education. The first is coming from this big area of cardiovascular and metabolic. And here I really want to ask you, did you know, everyone here who is listening, that actually cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer for women, and awareness can make the difference? About 1/3 of deaths in women are linked to a heart health issue, and the frequency is greater than that of breast cancer. So we all need to have a look at our hearts from a female perspective. And there is one colleague out there who has done it very deeply. It's a lady called Petronella Sadulace. She's a founder of Cordifio, which is a very cool and very informative platform for women to raise awareness about cardiovascular health, because it is important that we also take an angle of education and really understanding what is happening in our bodies. Now, let's move from the heart to the brain. And here I would like to exemplify the Women's Brain Project. Also here, did you know women's brains are different from men's brain in size, in structure, and in function? I see you smiling, Sneha. Yes, it's maybe this is a kind of a very relevant differentiation. Yes, not so known, I would think. Women's brain are about 11% smaller than men's, but have more gray matters and more connections across the two halves of the brain. Yes, I'm also learning a lot. This could make women better at integrating information from different sources and using intuition. The Women's Brain Project is an international non-profit organization based in Switzerland. And from patients' differences to patient characteristics, transforming the state of medical treatment and drug development through sex and gender factors as gateway to precision medicine and care. So we see two very different approaches, the heart and the brain. I'm very certain many, many more are out there, and I would love to collect more and hear more when we have time in the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing these encouraging examples. So eventually, it's precision medicine predicting the future of women's health.
A very big question, right? Achieving equity in healthcare is an uphill battle. And when you look at all the different stakeholders needed to move the needle, it's really long and complicated. It's going to be a step-by-step approach. It requires innovators mobilizing at every level, researchers, clinicians, pharmaceutical companies and startups, big tech and women and the patient themselves to make medicine work for everyone, which means prioritizing solutions that cater to women's unique health needs and bridging gaps in access, affordability, and availability. And also to close those gaps, data gaps first and foremost, we must take action by increasing women's representation in clinical trials. We really need to have a look at the funding gaps for women's health, and we need to take a big step for educating healthcare providers on every way.
And to add, precision medicine prevents the waste of healthcare resources on treating patients also with suboptimal medications, which can increase the likelihood of serious complications. Like the advances in precision medicine and advances explicitly in precision medicine for diseases that affect women specifically have led to significant advances in women's health. Like with data at its core, the integration of molecular, clinical, and population health data, like the heart of precision medicine, also will result in a deep understanding of a woman's personal health, risks, and treatments, and shed light on new disease classifications, diagnostics, prognostics, and therapeutics.
I was just reflective, on the link that you just made also towards waste. So eventually precision medicine, personalized medicine can help to be more sustained, to be more conscious, and to really help, ESG factors along the way. That's a very interesting thought, and maybe we can pick it up, in one of our next podcasts.
Sure.
And we're coming already to an end of our journey here, setting the scene and really opening up for women's health. So maybe we can do a quick recap. It's been a broad topic, a lot that we have discussed from many angles. So what are the key takeaways from our session today, Sneha?
So once again, here we have established the fact that women and men are different. There is no news While this is no news, the difference in sex and gender is important, as being a man or a woman has significant impact on health outcomes. Like women's health goes beyond reproductive health. Actually, women's health include diagnosis of diseases and conditions that affect women's physical and emotional well-being. Precision medicine, which is also referred as a personalized medicine, is a novel approach to disease treatment and prevention that takes into account individual variability in gender, genetics, environment, and lifestyle for each patient. And this provides a future lens on how to improve women's health overall. This is a booming, there is a booming firm tech environment that is not only successful pitching the fundings and receiving great financial recognition, but also quickly entering markets with new solutions, advancing health and outcomes for females based on innovative tools and digital health solutions. So, where do we start this quest? Like data and insights are at the core of this journey of change, informing patient journeys that provide actionable insights as to the pain points and unmet needs of female patients, as well as information to successful engagement and go to market strategies.
And lastly, Sneha, just to add, I would say agility and empathy are key to win in this very fast growing and attractive market. So let's wrap it up here. I would like to thank firstly all who was so brave to dial in, to take time out of the busy day and really, being with us. So thank you to the audience. And thank you for advancing our thoughts together. For sure, there are many questions and comments, and I would like to invite you once again to use the chat function to express your thoughts. And you can also contact us after the session. So that's absolutely, you're welcome and happy to exchange. I would very much like to thank Sneha from PharmaScroll for being a fantastic sparring partner and exploring this topic together. And in addition, I would love to extend my gratitude to the colleagues of Sneha. There are many more working behind the scenes, particularly Sahil from the management team, for being bold and passionate about women's health, providing also the platform and engagement to exchange. So I would actually like to invite everyone, to post their questions, and let's see if there is anything that has already come up in the chat function, Sneha.
So, thank you, Elizabeth. So, we have a question from Sherry Palm. Queue ahead of flow. How to address lack of curriculum provided to DX practitioners related to pandemic stigmatized women's health conditions such as pelvic organ prolapse.
Yes, I think there is something that is very important. The physician-patient interaction has really gone down during COVID. I think we have seen this everywhere during the various lockdowns across the world. And anyway, pelvic dysfunction is not something that women would like to address, proactively, not even with gynecologists. The data that I found is that 2 out of 3 women, which is amazing, do not even talk to physicians about that. So I think this really requires a big engagement, a big advocacy campaign, and eventually let's have a look if there are active patient advocacy groups out there to really support this area. I know it's happening in the United States. I haven't come across this let's say movement, I would rather say in Europe or elsewhere. But you're very, very right. It's a big gap, and it has a very high unmet need.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We have another question from Suresh. How gender biasness affects medical diagnosis and treatment among women?
The gender biases, yes. There is so much to say about this. This is like a university curriculum, or at least we could talk for a very nice evening lecture about this. So let's have a look a little bit. So some facts from publication, but also from my recent work in chronic diseases. Women often have a later diagnosis, more often receive a misdiagnosis, and therefore have later or even no access to medication. And that's happening across the world. Obviously, this affects outcomes. Another point that is more often forgotten, and Sneha, you were so kind to mention it in the patient journey, is the fact that communication works on different levels, and men and women communicate differently. They also speak differently. The language matters. So we are all subject to unintended biases. The same with HCPs. Right. And sometimes these biases also include stereotyping people and patients. So I have come across a stereotype of the whining menopausal woman. I think everybody has an understanding what this stereotype could encompass. We don't need to say more about that. But the level of attention and awareness and willingness to engage with this patient is very low. And the framing, meaning the words that are used for reporting on symptoms and limitations of daily living, or even when a female patient talks about how the medication works or does not work, for instance, these are not the same. So for instance, if a woman talks to a doctor being not able to see her friends, and do the daily shopping, this may sound very colloquial. A good HCP would actually stop and would want to ask about the reasons, and they could reveal a wealth of information such as shame, once again, stigma on certain symptoms, or a very poor quality of life with or without the treatment, or even the lack of fundings that may also prevent the purchase of certain treatments. So it's a way how we listen, and it's a way how we dissect information.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope this answers Suresh's question. We have a next question from Dr. Sonam Chawla. What is the timeline for precision medicine to be available to masses? Like cost will be a big dedicating factor.
So precision medicine is a way how to personalize treatment. Eventually, what we would like to achieve is that women in their entirety are receiving the best management. And that goes beyond drug treatment, but also the way how any kind of treatment is discussed and even provided to a patient needs to be tailored and really adapted to the various circumstances. For instance, who is ever talking about hormonal fluctuations? If a woman is menstruating and has diabetes, is there an adjustment of treatment? If a woman is lactating, this is something that is being discussed. But if a woman enters perimenopause or menopause, this very rarely is discussed, not even with cardiologists, where you all know, and we all learn today that, when the estrogen level goes down, women's hearts are less protected than they used to be. So all this is actually helping us to put a female lens also on existing treatments.
Right. Thank you. So the next question is, do we have any regulatory or governance incentives for research on precision medicine for women? This question is coming from Himanshu Sharma.
So yes, I promised at the very early begin, I don't know everything. So this is actually an answer I really don't know. I'm very certain that there are incentives, particularly for femtech, for the startups, because they're visible. I don't know if there are any healthcare organizations, countries, or anyone else who would, give extra funding. Maybe there are initiatives from the WHO that we need to simply uncover. Maybe there are big global health organizations. Maybe there are even organizations like the Gates Foundation, who is encouraging to look more into women's health. But as a matter of fact, I don't have the overview. But it's a very, very important factor to incentivize and how to incentivize. So I'll take it on me to have a look and get more information on this topic. Thank you for asking.
Right. Let us take one last question from Nidhi Sharma. What are potential solutions to address these problems in women's health?
Yes, I think we have talked a lot of it. It's a very big topic, and how do you do with a big topic? You actually break it in chunks, and I think this is also the way to do about women health. We will definitely need an army of change. I think there is a lot about education. There is a lot about incentivizing women health care research and take this extra lens and the extra time to understand data that provide information on women. In general, I think we have a lot of data. We just need to really derive the right insights and draw the right conclusions. And for, I think, physician, it is important to understand that there are differences that go beyond the reproductive system, that are anchored between men and women first and foremost. Of course, treatments will need to be adjusted according to data. And here we come back again. Let's do the clinical research first, right? And really understand the differences, and then adjust the therapies and the management guidance.
Right. Thank you, Elizabeth. We do have many other questions in the chat box. I hope you don't mind answering those questions post the podcast.
Yes, so we will try. I think we might have the emails of most of you guys. Or we can even do an overall announcement. So we will see. We will really see to answer the questions. And again, if there is no answer, it doesn't mean it's not existing. We just don't know. We will try our best. Thank you very much, everyone, for being so active. Once again, a big applause for Sneha and her team. And yes, I think we can close for today.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for taking the time out for this wonderful session with us, providing such insightful, uh, insightful journey of yours and women health. Thank you so much, everyone, joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We can close this.